Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, and welcome to a high-level best of 3 between in the bottom right spawning as our blue Terran player, uThermal. And in the top left as our red Protoss player, it's going to be Shadown, playing for the Platinum Heroes. Now, this particular game got recommended as one of the cheesier series in the HomeStoryCup, so I'm very curious how this is going to play out. As we see uThermal opening up with a barracks over here on the low ground. This is often considered what we call a fake proxy. So the goal of this is to just trick the opponent into believing that you're proxying, while in reality it's very close to your main base. This might force out a zealot response coming out of the Protoss, which is practically useless, as well, barracks is right over here. I'm gonna have to wait and see exactly how uThermal is going to follow this up, as we have Shadown over here with a just a single guy in gas actually. So far, fairly standard. Does indicate usually some type of Twilight Council play. Oh, he's gonna go with the Nexus before core as well. I think that's how he's doing. No, okay, core before Nexus. Yeah, it's a little bit late actually, that cybernetic score. I went down at 129, the standard timing is 124. If you micro your workers real well, sometimes can get 123. I even see 122 cybernetic score. That's a crazy timing for a cybernetic score. When you get that type of timing with a cybernetic score, sometimes you get supply block because your pylon isn't finished yet. That's how crazy that timing is, okay? Just want you all to know that. That's very crazy. Anyway, Reaper as the first unit, Factory in the wall as a follow-up, all looking fairly standard so far. We're gonna have a reactor going down here on the low ground as well, and a proxy starport most likely, as there's quite some cash. Didn't quite continue to mine constantly in gas, so it's not going to be a one base all in. Probably still wants to build a CC at some point. Wait, what? Okay. So this is... okay, I hadn't actually expected this. I thought it was going to be like a proxy starport. I usually was thinking of a proxy factory. Because while I was at HomeStoryCup, the first series that uThermal played, he played against Showtime with a double proxy factory. And we were talking about the build afterwards and how I believed he could have optimized it and changed it a bit to make it slightly more viable. And he liked some of the thoughts as well. So I was kind of hoping for it, because then, I could give the background to that. But I still managed to give the background anyway, get myself in there. Okay, this is going to be the Planetary Rush then, which is I've seen this build quite a bit, because I've seen uThermal execute it quite a bit to varying degrees of success. But I'm curious to see how he's going to actually do it here. It's just simply not so great against Protoss, and that's just a fact, right? It's just not a great opener against us. It's fine against all the other races. This is going to be a 3-gate into Stargate. So some serious amount of units that can start popping out over here. Do we have a battery? Battery going up in the main. No battery in the natural yet. That means this is going to be somewhat of a serious attempt here to actually, go for an attack. 3 Reapers, a Cyclone coming out as well. Shadow moves towards the high ground. Has 4 Stalkers. I don't really think he's going to end up dying here. CC is moving downstairs, moving towards the low ground at this point. Turret gets built as well. Not so sure why that is. Perhaps for a potential Phoenix. Another Stalker gets warped in, but this seems like it is, well, in my mind, pretty over already. This is 5 Reapers, a Cyclone, a bunch of SCVs. Here comes the Planetary. Cyclone getting targeted down. A little bit of sloppy control there. But will stay alive for now. One more shot and it might end up dying. 2 Stalkers will fall. Here comes the Phoenix trying to do something. Planetary. Was no cash available there for a second, so he had to cancel something. Must have been a Reaper. As the Planetary starts, but this really shouldn't work. The time that it takes to morph a Planetary is longer than the time it takes to build a battery. So the moment you see the Planetary start, you still have like a 7-second response time for you to build 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 batteries, however many you want. So this really never should be viable. It really never should be viable against us. Like you just need something else, right? The Planetary is like a bonus. You win with the real build, and then the Planetary is the bonus, I think. Because I just don't think there's a real way here. Now, once it finishes, of course, it does deal a decent amount of damage, and you can repair it, but Yeah, the problem is just going to be this. These batteries are too good. I think splitting the units to deny a little bit of splash would probably be wise. As a mule is going to land here, it's going to get taken out. And with the super battery available, with the 4 batteries in total, I do believe that this game should, well, pretty much end right over here. As this planetary falls, there's nothing left for uThermal to do. More gas is being taken here for Shadown as well. And I do believe that this is going to be it. I don't really see... Oh, fleet beacon. I see Shadown is doing a little bit of trolling as well over here. I think he might just try and rush out a mothership, honestly. I don't completely mind. So for the people who are not aware, during the HomeStoryCup, there was I think a $500 bonus for... I think it was either the cheesiest or like the craziest game in general. So whenever people, you know, they were out of the tournament, they would start playing some wild stuff. So you know what, $500, that's not bad. You know, we can play some strategies for that. We can definitely play some strategies for that. 3 barracks are going up at home right now, so it's going to be a 1-base tank all-in follow-up for uThermal. Well, yep, that's going to be a mothership indeed. Yeah, I mean, that is just what it is. Robotics is being proxied here as well. Not quite sure what that is for. We have a gateway next to it. There are a bunch of gateways out already. As I think uThermal is going to hit probably at the time when the mothership is out already, and he's just not going to... He's just not going to have any type of scan available. He just won't have the detection, right? That's going to be a real issue. Stim is going to take about 90 more seconds. This mothership is going to take about, well, what is it, 60 more seconds, a little bit less even. We have a forge coming in. We have extra gateways coming in. You know, sometimes you do something like this, if you're Shadow in this situation, and you start regretting. It's like, wait, this is actually a good plan. I kind of want to win this series as well. Is this really the optimal way to operate here? And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I think it's going to be just fine. Those 46 workers to 29. There's still no natural for uThermal. So all he needs to do is stop the all-in. But of course, Shadown is not aware of all of this. He's going to walk actually into this little setup and might believe that there is a natural. Yeah, it's going to send in a hallucination. The classic mothership is out. Let me give you a second of lag spike. I think it used to be worse back in the day. Whenever a mothership would pop, your game would just freeze for like half a second. So no matter who built it, you always knew when a mothership popped out. Especially if it's a pretty bad computer. Couldn't move for like 2 minutes. Screen froze. It was just a sick unit to pop. I was gonna cannon rush, the mothership cannon rush. That's a cute way to finish it. Recall is not even going to be available. Oh, this is so sad as well in a way, isn't it? This is so sad in a way. He was really setting up for it. You know, he's getting ready for it. He's getting some cannons here on the edge. You know, properly getting ready. But he's just gonna defend that home here. Probably wants to recall that mothership, though. It doesn't actually have that many units, and this is quite a few Marines. It's a lot of tanks as well. It's a bunch of SCVs. There are 6 sentries as well in this composition. More zealots are being warped in at the moment. I think Shadow's starting to sweat a little bit right now. Well, probably more than just a little bit. Like, this is actually kind of scary, unironically. Like, there's only 1 stim available. Recalls, it's going to be a base trade. Okay, this I hadn't expected. I think this game is closer than... Because there's just no upgrades, right? There's no charge, there's no colossi. Now, a lot of these buildings are going to end up falling. There's 26 workers on the other side of the map. There's also a bunch of workers here, though. And the Nexus can start practically immediately. There's way more cash left over for Shadown than there is for uThermal. uThermal does have enough to start another CC if he wants to, which I think he should. He's going to end up losing this... or not quite getting this +1. 9.7 seconds away from finishing up. That's 1 Nexus. Gonna build a second Nexus, right? That's what I would do. I think that's what he should do as well. I think getting a second Nexus here is going to be quite a decent call. Oh, actually, this is just game over. Oh, the mothership providing invisibility is just going to end the game. Because you're going to need to move forward. I hadn't even considered that. I was like, man, this is going to be a pretty tight fight. But he just killed the last orbital. There's literally no scans. He could build a turret, but then he can't build a CC anymore. So it's one or the other. It's gonna make a couple of invisible hallucinations as well. And literally the only thing that he can do is try and right-click the mothership. Look at it. Look at it. You see a couple of Colossi shooting as well. You know it's fake, but yeah, there's absolutely nothing you can do. Force fields are going down right now, but this mothership isn't even really getting damaged. This is fighting an invisible threat, and Shadown is going to end up winning game number 1 here on Grassvan. Alrighty, game number 2 here between Shadown and Mark J. Opens up with a... I don't even know what this is. I have no clue what this is. Is it triple probe scout? But I don't think this is going to be quite for a scout, is it? Good luck, have fun. That's a good timing on the good luck, have fun as well. Let's take a look at the first person here out of uThermal. See what he's up to. Okay, he builds the barracks right next to his mineral line, which is probably the correct call. You pull 3 workers. Always match your opponent's worker count. You can even match +1 most of the time, if you really want to. Now, probes regain health. SAVs don't. Honestly, nice control. As this probe rush is actually... I mean, it's not been great so far, but it has done something at least. It's now gonna piss off back home? No way. Oh, he's repairing himself. I was like, what's he gonna do there? But repairing yourself is actually a pretty decent call as well. Once again, good control here out of Shadown. Loses 1 worker though, and that's pretty much going to be the end of this little rush. So the first barracks is going to finish up as well. There's 2 gases here for uThermal, and that means that these probes can return back home right away. And yeah, what are they going to do from here on out? I am not so sure quite yet. 1 probe splits off, perhaps going in for a proxy. Now, cybernetic score. Last game I said, what did I say? 122 is the fastest, but 124 is the standard. This one went down at 140, the cybernetic score. So this 3 probe rush delayed him by about 16 seconds. Is that correct? Yeah, that's correct. That's a lot of time in the early game. Well, this Reaper has only been delayed by, well, 2 seconds, it seems like. So hardly any time. Next is going to be proxied in the bottom left over here on Ancient Cistern as uThermal with this factory. I really wonder what the follow-up is going to be on this. I really wonder what the oh. Now that is a follow-up I definitely approve of. Yeah, that's nice. No, that's real nice. That's actually real nice. Here comes that second factory I was talking about in the first game. Now, this is actually a really cool build, because you get basically... So the first time he did it, he proxied both factories, but it's not really necessary. 1, it makes it way easier for the opponent to realize that something weird is happening. And if you see a factory in the wall on the other side, you're not thinking about another factory in your main base. I actually believe that this is... I don't want to say this is a legit build, but I think it is going to be a struggle if you're fighting against this. Now, what you do is you get an armory and you walk mines in, while simultaneously going in with your Reaper Hellion squad. Now, this usually only works if, well, there's a natural, right? Right now there's no natural nexus. It's a little bit embarrassing. Oh, Shadown. Oh, not quite going to scout it. Armory is indeed on the way here. Look at this patrol. He has no clue how close he is to finding out something very, very important. Twilight Council on the way. Is going to be Blink Charge. Okay, a 2-base charge all in with a fake nexus here. This mine. I mean, once the armory finishes, there's simply no detection. It's going to be a real issue. These Reapers are still looking for stuff. Haven't quite figured out that the nexus is going to be in the bottom right. This Adept is going to shade in, sees the Hellion, and I think this will be the trigger as well for these... maybe you wait for 2, actually. I think you just wait for 2. Because the armory is done now. These 2 SCVs were stuck there for a millisecond. 3, 2, 1. And we send it. Here we go. Oh, starts a tech lab there as well. Now that is beautiful StarCraft 2. That is beautiful StarCraft 2, my friends. Dark Shrine gets spotted immediately. These mines will end up burrowing. Here comes the Reaper Hellion setup as well. And that is a lot of damage. These mines are invisible. These cars are still getting a lot of damage. And within 4 minutes and 30 seconds, uThermal puts himself at a massive advantage. He still is fighting against a 22 probe Shadown, but Shadown has no units left at all, so I'm not quite sure for how much longer is going to be a 22 probe Shadown. Yep, GG comes out, uThermal wins game number 2, and we'll be heading in the final game of this series. Game number 3 on Royal Blood, as we have well, both players opening in a fairly standard manner so far. 2 gas coming out of uThermal. Shadown with the... well, so far with just a pretty standard opener as well. It's going to be most likely just a core into Nexus once more. And switching, you know, back and forth between standard and non-standard. Standard and non-standard. Not quite sure what he wants to do. Cybernet Shore will go down here at a more standard timing. Followed up straight away by a Nexus. Now it does get locked out here by this depot. Which is nice. For uThermal. I mean, it doesn't really do much for Shadown. There's multiple ways you can really fight against this, by the way. Oh, he's forgetting his factory. That's actually a pretty big deal. Forgot about like 30 gas. That is really huge. Honestly. Does pull out of gas, so wants to get a CC out somewhere. Are you gonna see another one of these planetary fortress rushes? Oh, he's moving into the planetary area. Maybe it's just another factory here. It's so hard to call what's going on often. I am quite confused. It could be a factory and just floats it in this time around. Could be possible. But also unlikely, right? This map is not great for it. Okay, it's going to be a planetary rush here. Okay. Tech lab goes down on the factory. So this is the same build, I guess. Reaper into reactor, into tech lab on the factory, and then a planetary that's gonna fly in towards, I wanna say the natural. There's not so much space though on this map. I almost feel like you gotta do the main here. But then you can't get SCVs to really repair it, can you? There's no winning as a dedicated planetary rusher. It's going to be Twilight into Robo. Shadown decided he wants to play a little bit more standard. And maybe go for like a Blink build, or... what's the plan here, bud? I don't actually know. Darkstrike. Okay. Wants to get some of these DTs out. DTs are always fun to watch, of course. The eBay is now on the way. Reapers will deny the scout. The Cyclone pops out. Battery going down in the natural as well. Do you want a second battery? No, you do want a second gate. That is actually very important. Shadown is playing this very greedy. Like, this is a very greedy opener out of Shadown. Now, I'm not saying that means he's going to... oh yeah, this is not landing, my friend. This is not landing. This is absolutely not landing. This battery is too far back as well. I actually think that uThermal might just be capable of winning. There's only a single unit here. That is an issue. Okay, second unit moving down. Third unit gets warped in. There's a bunch of SCVs right now as an Immortal gets constructed. CC is going to, well, try and land here in front, but that's going to block himself as well. I'm not entirely sure about all of this, but I guess you have the Cyclones for range, and the Planetary is kind of like a thing to fall back on. What do you want to fight here? What do you want to lock onto? He's going to go for the Stalker rather than the batteries. Not sure if that's correct. I actually have no clue. Maybe the Robo is also a good choice. Do you pop in on the in or the outside? Definitely the inside. So he starts working now on this Planetary, and should start working on those workers as well, trying to repair it at some point. There's really not that many... well, actually, never mind. There's a lot of batteries going up, and there's a lot of batteries up already as well. Now, this robotics facility is not going to survive. I don't think so. This Planetary, however, there's a lot of SCVs that could be repairing it. That are repairing... oh, there's a DT. Oh, no. And I doubt there's a scan. What a sad way for this. This actually has some real potential. This actually had some real potential. There's going to be one scan available soon. It's going to need to utilize that immediately. This turret is in range. What a blunder. If it was built slightly further back, he actually would have had it before this scan runs out. Because turrets, they build freaking fast. 18 seconds only. Now it's still going to be somewhat close. This DT is going to come in and wants to deal more damage. Reaper's taking a bit. Yep, there we go. Reaper's in quite some trouble here. Lots of SCVs have gone down as well. Let's not forget about that, as now this DT is going to end up falling. The SCV count has been diminished though. Super battery active once more as well. Still a bunch of batteries in the back. This Planetary is going absolutely ham. Has no kills, but is just denying a lot of battery energy. And I think if there are 3-4 more SCVs here, if that DT doesn't deal its damage, I actually do believe in it. I actually do believe. Look at it. All these batteries are empty right now. It literally only needs to be up for another 30 seconds or so, and you actually start fighting through these units. But that is not going to be the case, as this does get broken. The contain is gone. There is a natural behind this, though, for uThermal. So this was... I mean, it didn't go brilliant, but I think it went well enough that this seemed like something, you know, that could potentially actually work. Tanks are being built right now. The infrastructure is garbage. We have a prism. We have Shadow Stride as well coming in. It's going to be... Oh, Nexus behind the gold here. This is one of these things that a lot of the cool kits are doing. Denying yourself the pleasure of gas, but getting these gold minerals anyway. And being just a little bit more hidden, which might be worth it. Double gold expansion behind it. Okay, I dig it. I dig it. I don't quite think Shadown knows what his position is like, as uThermal starts a second factory, as he probably is planning on playing some serious mech over here. Some macaroonies. Which is always good, of course. Always good. Pylon on the far left side. There's no blink on these stalkers yet, but it is on the way right now. Good enough control out of Shadow. Good enough. He's gonna keep that stalker alive without any major damage on it. Shadow Stride is about to finish up as well, as these bad boys make their way over towards the right. I think uThermal's going to end up scouting that, isn't he? Yes, sir. He scouts it. I don't think there's so much he can do about it, though. DT's in the main base. Shadow Stride not quite done yet. Still a lot of workers that went down there. I think a lot of that had to do with the splash of the tank as well. Shooting twice on your own workers, or shooting twice on the DT that's in between your own workers is actually quite painful. It's a very random observer positioning, but I don't completely mind it. Charge is going to be, I think, the next course of action, as there's 64 workers. A bunch of those on the gold bases, which means there's massive amounts of income here. Triple Forge is well coming in right now out of Shadown. I think he knows he's won, and he's just kind of doing a little bit of trolling right now. Just a little bit of trolling. Wouldn't mind seeing some DT action either. I'm always down for a bit of DT action, yeah. Lifts him into the prism. Shouldn't forget that he has the blink available as well, so he could definitely blink in and onto things. uThermal's plan to move out here is materializing. It's a bunch of these tanks. 6 tanks. Bunch of Marines as well, all moving out. SCV is going with it. There goes that Immortal. Pops. Bang, bang. You're dead. Yes, these DTs are also having an absolute blast. These Marines don't have stim, don't have combat. Don't have any way to really survive. These bad boys are going to get picked up. 5th base is on the way right now. Charge is coming out as well. And this army doesn't look big, but even if you just trickle in DTs at this point, it honestly should be good enough, because there's no real... I guess you could get a turret. Yeah, actually, that is a decent counter. I said nothing. Oh, there's a lot of scans available as well. uThermal was prepared. uThermal definitely did come prepared. Oh, he came very prepared. But this is kind of the... what's the guy called? The Alpha Star approach to... This is the Alpha Star approach. You're saying, oh, you're attacking my natural. I'll just take 2 bases right next to you. I'm just gonna walk away from your little contain. I don't give a crap about this garbage, mate. Not give a crap. Counterattacks with the stalkers as well. Sends in DTs, slow zealots, the works really. As he blinks on top of this tank, I think this tank is going to fall. I think that second tank as a result is going to fall. And then the Marines will end up dying as well. It's really the only thing that can end up happening here. Turrets will get blasted. And this will need to be a bit of a quicker push, as there's no money for extra turrets anymore at this point, which is going to be a serious issue. SCVs are fighting. We have 2 more Nexi on the way still. This one has finished up at this point, but yeah, I mean, uThermal is in a race against the clock, except the clock has already said that he's supposed to leave. You know, he's already been disqualified. It's over, my friend. It's time to go. Big blink forward. Turret gets blasted. Reactor here will get taken out as well. And I think that's pretty much just going to be it, isn't it? Yep, that's pretty much just going to be it. 33 supply against 92. We get a recall out still. It's 37 probes to 12. It's going to be 5 base against, well, 1 floating base. I'm not even quite sure if we can count that. uThermal supply block, but only barely, because he has so little army supply. I mean, he is very dead at this moment. That is for sure. I don't think he realizes how... No, he knew. He saw the gold over here. Now he sees the gold over here. He knows he's dead. 100% he noticed that. It's like infinite bases still to get through. CC's just gonna chill in the corner over here. And Shadown is gonna go in, win this game, and with this game also win the series. Planetary Rush, not entirely it. Just not entirely it. That's the one thing we can say for sure. All right. That's going to be it for me today. Thanks all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this series. Nice little cheesy series. Yeah, some interesting strategy choices. We end with 2 building Nexi as well during this, so that's all very nice. If you enjoyed it, yeah, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave any more recommendations for series from HomeStoryCup or from GSL down in the comments. I have access to all of those replays nowadays, which is very cool. So if you want to see anything like that, be sure to tell me and we'll go over it. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.